Hello everyone. In this video I want to go ahead and show you some advanced unwrapping techniques. So I'm going to start by going to Panels and Saved Layouts and Persp UV Editor. And I want to show you a couple things. First of all, I'm going to make this an automatic unwrap. And now I get this really wonky sort of look here because I want to go ahead and see kind of what my UVs look like instead of having those cylindrical caps and whatnot. So now that I've got this unwrapped, at least automatic unwrapped, right? I want to go ahead and actually formally unwrap it properly. And one of the tools I want to show you right off the bat is, I'm going to keep actually this open so I can see, and toggle the shaded on, and that's shade UV shells. So with that being said, you can see something like this edge right here. I'm going to click this and hold shift, and I want to show you these tools really quickly. And I know this is a seam because it has the bold white line. So just select a seam on here and then go ahead and go to cut, sew, and move and sew. Now this is something that you really need to know how to do at industry level. If you don't know how to move and sew and cut edges and really get really tricky with your UV shells, and I'm going to go ahead and move and sew all of these as well. Ooh. If you don't know how to do a cut and move and sew and things like that, and you want to work in the industry, these are just things you need to know. So I'm going to go to move and sew, and now I'll see what else I've got left. I got two more edges here, and I'm going to leave one for the seam, of course. And here I'm going to go cut, sew, move and sew. And now when I go to my move UV shell tool, you're going to notice here it is. But what I don't like about this is that the top of the cylinder, or this base part of the tree, there's two pieces of branches on here that I don't want yet. I may or may not want yet. I'm not sure. So what I need to do is I need to find those, and I got to find those by not the ones without the bold white line on it. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select this one. I'm going to go to cut, sew, and cut. And now when I go to tools, move UV shell tool, I have just this one by itself. Now if I go to tools and show UV toolkit, I already have it docked over here, and I go under the unfold tab and I click unfold. I want to show you something. I'm going to assign a new material, and I'm going to assign a Lambert, and then I'm going to go to here to color, and I'm going to assign a checker. I'm going to tap 6 on my keyboard, and then just to show you, I'm going to scale this larger. You'll notice we have texture stretching. These are supposed to be just straight up cubes, and they're not. They're rectangles. So in order to fix this, I can go ahead and try this unfold button, but it doesn't seem to do anything. So I can go ahead and do unfold along, and you can select U or V. I'll try V, and you'll notice I get a much cleaner unfold, and now all those rectangles are now squares. So we've just unwrapped the first part of this tree, and it's starting to look pretty clean. Now I want to go ahead and show you a couple other ways. The fastest way I think to unwrap anything is to select all the faces you need. So I'm going to unwrap this one first. I'm going to hold spacebar and go to UV and go to camera based. And now what I'm going to do, that I have that done, is I'm going to select this edge along the back of it, and this side is red, and I'm going to select just this edge and just this edge, and the back of this is red because the UVs are sort of overlapping, but these are also facing the other way at the moment. So with those edges highlighted, I'm going to go to cut, sew, and I'm going to cut. And now I'm going to go to my object and go to tools, move UV shell tool. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to click unfold. You should have pretty decent sized squares. Otherwise you can run an unfold along, and you'll notice you get even cleaner squares. So I'm going to do this to all of these branches because I find it to be the most useful way to do it. But I really wanted to show you how to move and sew an object or a excuse me, a edge. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. I find this to just be the fastest way. So I showed you sort of this long way, which really needs to be utilized at times in order to create great clean UVs. And now here, and cylindrical objects always tend to have a little bit more strangeness to them, but you have to think of it more as like an origami piece of paper folded up, and then you unfold it, and where are you going to create that cut to sort of unfold it, right? So on this edge I'm going to do cut, and it's because I'm going to select this one and this one. I feel like this will be the least seen seam on this branch. And now cut, sew, and cut, and now I can go to Tools, Move UV Shell Tool, grab this, and go to Unfold Along. And on V it didn't work very well. And let me double check I've got all of my edges I would like. Yep. Maybe I'll just try Unfold, and Unfold seemed to work a lot better. Now maybe I'll try Unfold Along and see if I get a little bit cleaner. And it's alright. You can also always try the Optimize to see if that makes any adjustments. Alright. Now I'm going to continue pushing forward with this, and I want you all to do the same and just complete unwrapping this object. Tools, Move UV. I'm going to do UV camera based. I got ahead of myself there. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to the back of this object, and I'm going to cut my seam down the back. And it looks like I missed one of these. So if this ever happens to you in the future, make sure you just select these edges and then go cut, sew, and move and sew. And now I can go ahead and get back to cutting this seam down the edge. And Tools, Move UV Shell Tool, and we'll go Unfold. And now I'm going to go to my last one. Tools, I'm sorry, hold spacebar, UV, camera based, and now I'm going to go hold right click and go to Edge and select holding Shift. And you'll notice again, for whatever reason, it didn't like, and maybe I accidentally didn't select these, but that does happen. So I'm going to select these edges here, and I'm going to go to cut, sew, and move and sew. And now on these edges I'm also going to move and sew. And now on this edge, it's already highlighted, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just for visual reference. I'm going to highlight these edges, and now I'm going to do a cut, sew, cut, and now go back to Tools, Move UV Shell Tool, and grab this out of the way and run an Unfold. Okay, so now I've unfolded the entire top part of the tree. I still need to get these UVs laid out nicely, but I also still have the bottom of it. And what you can do is, I'll show you how to lay them out later, but if you start to scale these, you can start to get it to the approximate right size. And some of these are definitely going to have distortion, but the goal is to have as little distortion as possible and have nice clean looking UVs. And I know this one here needs to be much larger in comparison to sort of start to match these. And now we're good to sort of get started on the bottom. Now on the bottom here, let me show you another trick. I'm going to just isolate this tree here, and I'm just going to highlight all of these and then deselect these. And now that I've got all of these selected, I'm just going to hold spacebar and go UV and camera based, and sometimes this can be really one of the most quickest ways, and I'm just going to select those two edges at the back here, one of the quickest ways, and then every seam sort of down the middle, And here I'll just make this one the seam, and I'm just selecting edges. You can do the same. I'll select this one, and I'm selecting all of these all at once, and I'm going to select both of those. And the reason I'm selecting two of these on each basically end cap is because I want to make sure that it gets as best of a I'm going to select this one going down the middle. Unwrap as possible with as little distortion as possible. And did I get them all? Everyone but maybe this one. And then I'm going to go from here and run this all the way up as well. And now I'm going to go to cut, sew, and cut, and then I'll go to tools and move UV shell tool, and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to click on unfold, and you'll see that I start to get this unfold here. Now it's looking really, really weird, and if I really want to, I could keep all of those the same and not have it run directly to the center, or I could keep this cap in here and go cut, sew, cut, and then select these edges, the bold outline ones, and go to cut, sew, and move and sew, and then tools, move UV shell tool, and it doesn't look like I cut every edge, almost every one, cut, and then tools, move UV shell tool, and then I'll run an unfold on this, and now I've got this one as separate, and there we go. And now I have this centerpiece here, tools, move UV shell tool. They're all connected, however, and let's run one more unfold. Some of these edges I still might need to cut, so I'm going to select this edge here, and I'm just going to cut this one, cut, and I'll go tools, move UV shell tool, and unfold, and you'll see that this now has fairly clean UVs. I'm going to cut this one also, and I'm basing this off of the closeness of these. So I'm going to select this, cut, sew, cut, and then tools, move UV shell tool, and unfold, and unfold. And I'm just going to show you this because cut this one, cut, and tools, move UV shell tool. And I'm showing you all of this because it's extremely important to be able to make these modifications sort of on the fly without having to re-unwrap everything. And I know this is going to be a little bit confusing for you because it just is, and I want you to learn how to do this. This is probably the hardest lab, at least for the second half of class so far. I mean, minus the final project and all. And we'll go unfold, and we'll go unfold, and I want to see where this edge is. And that edge is right here, and that edge I'm actually going to cut, tools, or cut, sew, cut, and I'm going to sew it to there we go, to the bottom part here. Or actually, no, I'm going to sew it to the top part. Cut, sew, move, and sew. Now I've got that there. And now I'm just going to select all of these shells one last time and run another unfold. Okay, and they're all looking pretty clean so far. And now with this one, tools, move UV shell tool, I'm going to run another unfold. And you'll see it unfolds really wonky when I just click the unfold. And I don't know why exactly that is, but if I unfold along V, I get a much nicer, clean UV. Now I'm going to select all of the UV shells, and I'm going to go to Modify, and I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to hit this little settings box. And in here I'm going to have it on Unfold 3D, and I'm going to make sure in my Windows, Settings Preferences, Plugin Manager, that this object, I'm going to be able to do my unfold. It's in alphabetical order. Unfold3D.mll, and just click it, load it, and auto load, and then refresh, and then close. And now, what I'm going to do from here with my Unfold 3D on, I'm going to just scrub down to the bottom. 1024 texture map size is perfect, and then down here, scale mode, I'm going to set to uniform, and I'm going to click Layout UVs. And now I'm going to zoom in on here, and you're going to see my UVs here all in this cube here. Now, this is totally fine if you want to try and go ahead and do it this way, but I'm going to take this a little step further, and I'm going to go to Tools, Move UV Shell Tool, and I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm basically just going to make them a little bit larger. And now I'm going to go ahead and place them all into place by hand, because I feel like you get much better results this way. So not only have I already increased the resolution on this object, also, and that depends if I can get it all to fit in here. And Tools, Move UV Shell Toolkit. And I'm just going to try and get this to sort of get into my UV space as best as possible. And if you think having this background is kind of strange while doing this, you can always turn it off with this little icon. I'm going to keep it on for now, and later I might turn it back off, but I feel like it helps me know exactly where my range is without having to think twice about it. And then down here, and then we're almost done. As long as I can get these all to fit. It's gonna be a tight fit, and it usually is, and it's supposed to be. If you're not barely fitting all your UVs into your UV space, you're wasting UV space, because these really are important to be able to have as much room as possible. And really anybody who works in 3D will tell you the same thing. And you need to make sure that they can fit. Now this doesn't look like it's going to work because I scaled them too large. So at this point I'm going to highlight all these and just bring them back down. Or I could do that Modify and Layout. And I'm actually much happier with this setup because it has more of a straightforward look to it, whereas before it was kind of wonky. And I'd really much rather be able to take up more UV space, but I don't want to spend any more time in this video kind of just placing UV shells around. So this is going to work much better for how I want it to look, and I'm just going to kind of shift these sort of away from each other as best as possible. So you can see them pretty clearly when I'm texturing them. And that won't fit that way, so it'll have to go that way. But anyway, I feel like this is good enough for this example, but as I was showing you before, resizing them and placing them into the UV space there by hand and scaling it a little bit larger. I always like to start with the layout, then scale it a little bit larger and start puzzle piecing the entire UV editor together, and then you'll end up with something like this. So I want you to go ahead and try your best to unwrap this object while also maintaining uh, clean UVs, and it looks something similar to this, where you have each branch on its own shell, each root on its own shell, and the base here on its own shell. And you can do the same thing down here as I did. I sort of capped this little semicircle off, and now I've unwrapped my entire object. It's always also good to remember to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, and History. And now I'm also going to do a Modify, Freeze Transformations. And now I've got this object pretty much ready to go, and we can get into some advanced texturing skills with Adobe Photoshop, and we're going to start to do some projection texturing to try to get rid of some of these seams when we're texturing. So I want to show you how to texture with having the least amount of seams possible. So anyway, that's unwrapping this little tree here. So we covered move and sew, we covered the cut, we covered camera based, and then unfolding using the UV toolkit, and then also cutting that edge when we use the camera based style of unwrapping, then cutting down the edge and then unfolding it to as quickly as possible create a clean UV shell. Had we gone ahead, we've already covered the cylindrical unwrapping, we've covered the planar unwrapping. Had we gone ahead with these branches and tried to use something like the cylindrical unwrapping, or even around the base of the tree, it would have turned out really wonky with the UVs, and it would have really been difficult. You would have been doing all this cutting and sewing and moving stuff anyway. So anyway, with that being said, do your best to unwrap this little tree here, and thanks for watching, and yeah, message me if you have any questions.